Ji, Assalamu alaikum everyone. I hope all of you are doing well in your homes and you're taking time out to study as well. Today our topic of discussion is a clinical workup for a thyroid nodule. What is a thyroid nodule? A thyroid nodule, by definition, is a discrete lesion within the thyroid gland that is distinct from the surrounding thyroid parenchyma. Now, this discrete lesion, which we are calling a thyroid nodule, could be a solid one or it could be a cystic. As far as the prevalence of these thyroid nodules is concerned globally, the statistical data are available which show that about 3 to 4% of the adult populations in the United Kingdom as well as in the United States of America, they present with these discrete thyroid swellings, that is the thyroid nodules. In Pakistan, the statistics available, they show a prevalence of about 3 to 7% of these thyroid nodules. Now, another thing that we need to remember is that these thyroid nodules, they are more frequent in women than men, and the ratio is about 4 is to 1. Now, before we go on to the workup of the thyroid nodule, we need to be familiar with certain commonly used terminologies. You must have all heard of a solitary nodule, dominant nodule, incidentalomas. So, what's the difference between all three terminologies that are so frequently used when we're discussing a case of thyroid nodule? Well, a solitary nodule, by definition, is a discrete swelling in an otherwise impalpable gland, right? And these solitary nodules, they make up about 70% of all discrete swellings. So then what are dominant nodules? Dominant nodule is a discrete swelling in a gland with clinical evidence of generalized abnormality in the form of a palpable contralateral lobe or generalized mild nodularity, right? So it means that there is a prominent nodule, but along with that, there is a generalized enlargement of the thyroid gland as well. Now, these dominant nodules, they make up about 30% of all discrete swells. Then another very frequently used terminology is incidentalomas. Now, what are these incidentalomas? Non-palpable nodules that may be detected on ultrasound or other anatomic imaging studies. They are termed as incidentalomas since they are discovered incidentally. Now, why do we need to investigate the thyroid gland? Why is it important that we are discussing today the workup of the thyroid gland? Now, the most important reason behind it that these thyroid nodules, they are associated with a risk of malignancy. And the statistical data, it shows that 15% of the thyroid swellings, they are malignant, right? So it is a high number. About 30 to 40%, they may present as follicular adenomas, whereas 35 to 45% are non-neoplastic, example like colloid degenerative cysts, thyroiditis, or many other form of the cysts. Then what's the issue that we are so concerned about finding out about the malignant thyroid nodules, though the number is 15% only? Now, it's important for us to recognize these malignant nodules because thyroid carcinoma is a disease that can be best managed by timely surgical intervention. Here in this slide, you see a table which is indicating the risk of malignancy in the thyroid swellings, and it is commonly known as the rule of 12. Now focus on the first bracket, the bracket on this table, which says the isolated thyroid swelling. Now, this isolated thyroid swelling or the solitary thyroid nodule that we're talking about, there are 24% chances that it would be solid and 12% chances that it would be cystic. Now, among the solitary solid nodules, 48% of the male patients would be at a risk of having malignant thyroid nodules, whereas 12% of the females would be at a risk of malignancy in these thyroid nodules. Similarly, if it was a cystic swelling, 24% of the males would be having a high risk of malignancy in the thyroid swelling, whereas 6% females would be having a risk of malignancy in the thyroid swellings. So, meaning thereby that the male patients, if they have a solitary thyroid nodule, they would be at a higher risk of having a malignant thyroid nodule. In the previous slides, if you remember, we discussed that the solitary nodules, they are more common in women, and I said that the ratio is around about 4:1. So we're not talking of prevalence here. We are talking of the risk of malignancy in the thyroid swellings. So the risk of malignancy in a male patient is much higher as compared to a female patient. Similar is the story with the dominant thyroid swellings. Again, they could be solid, there's 12% chances, cystic, 6% chances, and again, if the patient is a male patient, then 24% of these male patients are at a higher risk of having malignancy in these dominant thyroid nodules, whereas the risk of malignancy in these thyroid nodules is only 6% in the female patients. Again, for a cystic variety, there is an increased preponderance of the male patients. About 12% of them are at a risk of malignancy, whereas in the female patients, only 3% of these female patients would be at a risk of thyroid cystic swelling to be malignant. Right, so in a case of these generalized thyroid swelling, the risk is about 3% of it being malignant. There's another guideline which is given by the American Thyroid Association regarding that which thyroid nodules are suspicious, which are the nodules that especially need a very keen workup. And so the nodules which are more than 1 centimeters, they say that they should be evaluated since they have a greater potential to be clinically significant cancers. Again, according to the American Thyroid Association guidelines, the nodules which are less than 1 centimeters that have clinical symptoms or associated lymphadenopathy, they also must be evaluated. So it is not only the size, but also the presence of the associated symptoms and the presence of the associated lymph node enlargement that makes it necessary that these nodules must be further worked. Now, what is the workup that we are talking about continuously? The most important workup is always the clinical or the history that we talk about. It always begins with a very, very thorough history. So, if the patient gives you a history of a very rapid growth in size, ekdam se size bada gaya, if the patient tells you, or there are associated features like change in voice, hoarseness, or patient does not give you any history of associated features of hyperthyroidism or hypothyroidism. The patient is euthyroid. So, euthyroid, solitary nodules, or dominant nodules again are suspicious ones. Furthermore, in the history, if there is history of childhood head and neck radiation therapy for any known reasons, or there is history of total body radiation for bone marrow transplantation, or there is history of exposure to ionizing radiation from Fallhouse in childhood or adolescence. For example, patients who may have been victims of bomb blast or over there in the nearby vicinities. So, and they were under 20 years of age and at that time. So again, they're also at a higher risk of developing thyroid cancer at any certain time of their life. So again, furthermore, if there is a history of familial thyroid cancer, MEN2, a risk for medullary thyroid cancer in a first degree relative. Well, after a thorough history taking, we need to perform a very thorough clinical examination of the neck and the thyroid gland. So we'll be observing whether this thyroid gland is moving with deglutition. While it is moving with deglutition, we need to see if we can appreciate the lower limit of the thyroid gland, and if so, it would be clear that there is or there is not any retrosternal extension. We need to look for whether the thyroid gland has deviated or pushed the trachea to either of the sides, so whether the trachea is in central position or not. We need to see if the thyroid nodule is fixed to the surrounding tissues. We need to see if there are palpable cervical lymph nodes. We need to see if the carotids, they are in place or not. We need to see for any features of hoarseness, change in voice. We need to see if there are any associated features relevant to or evident of hyperfunctioning of the thyroid gland, like there could be tremors, there could be tachycardia, there could be eye signs. We need to see of features that may be suggestive of hypothyroidism, there could be a puffiness of the face, dryness, scanty hair, etc. So after doing this thorough examination, we would be, having a certain thing in our mind whether this gland is a hyper functioning one, it is a hypo functioning one, whether this is a solitary nodule that the patient is suffering from, or it's a dominant nodule as we've just already spoken about, or this is a diffuse enlargement of a thyroid gland, or this is a multinodular thyroid gland. The investigations of choice would be assessing the thyroid hormones, which are the serum T3 and the serum T4 levels, as well as the serum TSH levels. Now, this is again very important because we need to ensure whether the thyroid nodule that we are investigating is a hyper functioning one or it is a hypo functioning one. If you remember our previous slides, I said that a solitary nodule, which is euthyroid, is at a higher risk of being malignant. So that is why we need to confirm the thyroid probe at this point. Then the next most important investigation would be a radionuclide thyroid scan. Now this is indicative when the TSH is subnormal or there was evidence of higher levels of T3 and T4 or either of them. So there is evidence of toxicity associated with nodularity. Then the thyroid scan becomes imperative. Now the thyroid scan will reveal three types of nodules. A hot nodule, which is a hyperfunctioning nodule. Now, a hot nodule is the one where the tracer uptake is greater than the surrounding normal thyroid. Now, we need to know certain facts that these hot nodules, hyperfunctioning nodules, rarely harbor malignancy. And we also need to remember that 5% of the nodules would be hot nodules. So 5% chance of the nodules to be hot. And among these hot nodules, there's a very little chance that they may be malignant. Then the thyroid scan may tell us that this is a warm nodule. A warm nodule would be the one where the tracer uptake is equal to the surrounding thyroid. And 10% of the nodules are warm. Then the thyroid scan may tell us that it's a cold nodule. Cold nodule is the one where the tracer uptake is less than the surrounding thyroid. And 85% of the nodules are cold. And these are the ones where, you know, we need to have raised alarms, because these are the ones where there is an increased risk of malignancy. Here, this is how you would see a thyroid scan. A thyroid scan may, as you see in the first picture, so there is a reduced tracer uptake in the one lobe of the gland, and this is a cold nodule here. Then there is a diffuse uptake in both sides of the gland of the tracer uptake, so this is indicative of a Graves' disease. And in the third box, you can see multiple hot and cold areas. So this is a toxic multinodular goiter. Here you will see a hot nodule, but there you also see the rest of the gland, but there's an increased uptake in one portion, so which is indicative of a hot nodule. Then in the next picture, you will see this is an autonomous nodule where you will see there is an increased uptake, but there is at the same time suppression of the remainder of the gland. You don't see anything else here. So this is an autonomous nodule, and here you have a scattered picture here. So this is a case of thyroiditis. Um, Ultrasonography, which is an easily available tool, and it's a very inexpensive one as well. So this remains the gold standard for investigating a thyroid nodule. So you see in an ultrasonography report, so the ultrasonography report should convey the nodule size in all three dimensions. It must tell us about the location. It's present in the upper lobe, the right upper lobe, the right lower lobe, whether it is present in the isthmus. It must tell us about the composition, whether it is solid, it is cystic, or it is spongiform. It must tell us about the echogenicity. It must tell us about the margins of that nodule. Now, this is very important because this would help us differentiate between a malignant thyroid nodule and a benign one. The margins, irregularity if it's present, that will be indicative of malignancy. Presence as well as the type of the calcifications. Vascularity, presence of lymph nodes in the cervical area. Right. Now here, this is how the ultrasonography report will be sent to us. If you look at the first column and where there are pictures which show thyroid nodules which have about 70 to 90% of a suspicion of malignancy. Look at the first picture. Here you will see that there are a number of microcalcifications that are present. So again, if you see such a picture, this would be suggestive of this nodule to be malignant. And then if you look at the last one, again in the first row, and the pointer is also pointing out towards that thyroid nodule, that the margin is irregular. So presence of irregularity or presence of these calcifications, they're all indicative of malignancy in that particular thyroid gland. If we come down to the bottom one, which says this is least probable to be malignant, less than 1% chance of nodule to be malignant. It is absolutely a benign one. Here this is a thyroid solitary cyst here. The margins are absolutely regular. So with these different pictures, one can assess that the ultrasound is a very good tool that can give us a lot of information whether the thyroid gland in discussion or the patient who is presented to us, whether he has a benign thyroid nodule or a malignant one. Well, the next important investigation would be a fine needle aspiration cytology. This would be a diagnostic investigation, and it is indicated when the nodules are greater than or equal to 1 centimeter in the greatest dimension with high suspicion in ultrasonographic report. If you remember, in our previous slide, we discussed the American Association guidelines regarding the thyroid nodules investigations, and they suggested that again thyroid nodules which are equal to 1 centimeters or greater, they must be investigated thoroughly because they are the ones who have a higher chance of malignancy. Now, the second indication would be nodules which are greater than or equal to 1 centimeter in the greatest dimension, even with intermediate suspicion in ultrasonographic pattern. Thirdly, the nodules which are greater than or equal to 1.5 centimeter in greatest dimension, even with low suspicion in ultrasound report. So all these, they must be investigated with the help of fine needle aspiration cytology. The fine needle aspiration cytology, along with having a diagnostic role to find out whether this particular thyroid nodule is malignant or it is benign, it also has a therapeutic role, especially in cases of solitary thyroid cysts. So one can aspirate them, and that would be the therapeutic treatment as well of a solitary thyroid cyst. It is suggested that if you've done this therapeutic needle aspiration, and if the cyst recurs, you repeat if it recurs. But if it recurs the third time, then it is imperative that you must excise this cyst. Okay. Well, as far as other radiological investigations like the CT scan are concerned, they will be performed when ultrasound documents a metastatic disease in the neck. For example, if the ultrasound suggests that this is a suspicious lesion and the ultrasound suggests that there is presence of lymph nodes, or the ultrasound suggests that there is involvement of the major vessels, the gland has is abutting the major vessels or it is engulfing the major vessels, etc. So then the CT scan is modality of choice for assessing this metastatic disease potential within the neck. CT scanning is the modality of choice for assessing tracheal compressions and deviations and involvement of esophagus and other structures in the neck. Okay. Now, while we are doing a workup of the thyroid nodule, the next important investigation would be a flexible laryngoscopy. Now, flexible laryngoscopy is now the gold standard globally. You must be more familiar with the indirect laryngoscopy because that is what we perform in our setup commonly. Now, this laryngoscopy is used preoperatively to determine the mobility of the vocal cords. And the presence of a unilateral cord palsy coexisting with an ipsilateral thyroid nodule of concern is usually diagnostic of malignant disease. So it means that that particular nodule has involved the recurrent laryngeal nerve and led to the unilateral cord palsy. Core biopsy, also known as the true cut biopsy. Well, we've just spoken about the fine needle aspiration cytology and we discussed the benefits of the fine needle aspiration cytology, and we know that it is a very good investigation to differentiate between a benign and a malignant thyroid swelling in majority of the cases. Well, the core biopsy is not commonly performed because the core biopsy is more traumatic, and especially in cases of a thyroid gland, which is a very vascular gland. So, core biopsy is reserved for conditions like anaplastic carcinoma, where clinically we know that the gland is malignant, it is fixed to surrounding structures, and only in certain situations we can perform the core biopsy. Otherwise, the FNAC is good enough. The FNAC is simple, it is inexpensive, it is less traumatic, it is 97% accurate in majority of the times. It has 83 to 98% sensitivity for diagnosing malignancy. And with this, I'll say a big thank you to you all, and I'll wish you all health, and I'll wish you all safety, not only you but also your families. And at the end, just let me tell you another thing, that I would be uploading an assignment related to the thyroid, and this assignment as soon as you submit your assignment work, the answers, so that is how your attendance is going to be marked. So make sure that you see the assignment, make sure that you attempt the assignment, make sure that you submit the assignment. Thank you.